Thank you so much, Drew, Life Institute. By a show of hands, real quick, how many of you have had the privilege of the privilege of feeding a 3-year-old ice cream? Yeah. Now, how many of those that just raised their hand then tried to feed that child peas? Then you understand what it's like to be a lawyer called to speak about estate planning after Piercing Word does their presentation. I am going to do my best to keep this exciting. The topic is not my fault. The topic is estate planning. So you can blame that, I suppose, on Drew and Life Institute. But it's something that we need to talk about today. So let me just let you know, I'm Jim Smith. I'm an attorney and a principal at the law firm of Smith Bukowski. I became a better man when I married my wife, Jennifer, who's with me today, and for which I am deeply grateful for her companionship and support. I love her, and I count every day privilege that I get to wake up next to her. We have 3 children, 4 grandchildren. One of them is still in the proverbial oven, scheduled to arrive fully cooked in January. I'm a 1991 graduate of Liberty University, 98 graduate of Regent University Law School. I'm the principal of Smith Bukowski, a law firm in Wyomissing, and we have 8 attorneys who do a wide variety of different things. Last year, you had the opportunity, for those of you who were here, to listen to my associate, Nate Hopkins, speak on how we at the firm, him in particular, counsel churches and faith-based nonprofit charitable organizations in establishing procedures and protocols for investigating claims of abuse. I like to say that not every claim is true, and not every pastor is perfect. But the process you adopt means everything in terms of the way that you sort things out. I've litigated at in a lot of different courts, including the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and I have to tell you that standing in front of 100 pastors scares me more. If during the course of this presentation, if any of you object, fair warning, I may just walk out and leave. But if you feel the need to object, by all means object, provided that if you hear truth, I've got just enough Baptist in me, feel free to amen, and I'll be encouraged by that. There you go. One last matter of housekeeping matter before I get into our discussion on estate planning. Because it's not often that an attorney has an opportunity to speak to 100 pastors. So let me just ask you on behalf of every member of the bar, not that bar, I went to Liberty, we don't go to bars, but the bar associations in Berks County and abroad, let me ask you, please stop lumping lawyers with prostitutes and tax collectors. I just don't think that's biblical. I've got notes today to keep me sort of focused a little bit here, but the question I was asked to pose to you today is essentially this. Why should anyone, and in particular a pastor, care about what happens to their stuff when they die? I mean, after all, it's just stuff, right? It's stuff. And truth be told, it's just stuff. And during your lifetime, it shouldn't be an idol. It shouldn't be something that you hold too close. But like Tim was saying earlier, the way that we manage stuff reflects on the heart that we have and the relationship that we have with God and our Creator. So let's explore first why most people appear to not care. So there's 4 reasons I'm going to give you, 4 excuses, I'll say, or reasons why people don't sit down and work through an estate plan. An estate plan might include a will, power of attorney, and a healthcare power of attorney, often referred to as a living will or advanced medical directive, whereby you direct doctors in the manner in which they treat you if you're incapable of doing so yourself and you're suffering from a terminal illness. I'm going to borrow Life Institute's statistics that they offer at every time they appear at your church and work through these issues with the members of your congregation. There's 4 basic reasons why people don't pick up estate planning. The largest reason by far, and I had mugs in my other car, didn't bring them today, so I'll just go through these. There's, in the interest of time, I'll go through these myself quick. First reason. Anybody want to guess what the first reason is? Why don't people, pastors included, why don't they initiate an estate plan? Time? I don't have time. I'll get to it later. I think, did you say that, time? Somebody over here said it, I think. Time, not enough assets to worry about it, really. And everybody in this room, pastors, not like you guys have homes in the Caribbean, right? Unless, of course, I guess you have a... Nobody here has a television network, right? Yeah, a jet? No, okay, good. So you know what I'm talking about. How about the excuse, I don't know how, or I don't know why? And then the fourth reason is the cost. It costs something. If only your time, it costs something to establish an estate plan. So let's go through each of these real quick, one by one, and I'll try to keep within my time allotted here today, because Life Institute, if nothing else, is really good about moving these programs along out of respect for your day. Not enough time. It often sounds like this. It sounds like I haven't gotten around to it. I'll get to it next month, next year, or the really energetic of us, I'll get to it next week. And the next week turns into next month and next year. And it's just really just not making it a priority, a lack of urgency. And I want you to think, I want to encourage you to think of this way. Those excuses are really reserved for those individuals who believe the lie that I'll surely be alive tomorrow to handle it then. Or I'll address those issues like maybe 5 minutes, 5 weeks, 5 months, or even 5 years before I die. Or I'm only 30. Surely I'm going to live until I'm 60 or 56, right? But what's the fundamental flaw, pastors, in that thinking? It's pretty simple. You don't know when you'll die. Who knows but God the time of your entering into eternity? No one knows. And so the notion that I'll wait till next week, I'll wait till next month, really in terms of your obligation to God and in terms of your stewardship of the things He's given to you, really just doesn't hold weight. And that really doesn't become a reality to many people until they either get news that they're going to die, or God forbid, on the way home today, a tragedy happens on the roadway. My firm does a lot of wrongful death cases, and we have a case now involving a gentleman, wonderful guy, on his way from one place to one stop to another, no more than 4 miles apart, and a dump truck crossed lanes and killed him. He had 1.5 seconds to figure out what was going to happen and to prepare himself to meet God. And so I'd encourage you that there's the notion of time, I've got time, isn't necessarily something that's going to hold water. The next reason why many people give for not engaging in the process of considering an estate plan is, look, I just don't have enough assets. Sounds like I don't have enough stuff to make good stewardship worthwhile. How much stuff is required before you're held responsible, though, to be a good steward? I think Tim's statement earlier, I know Life Institute's worldview says it doesn't matter how much stuff you've got. What matters is what you do with it. It's because what you do with it, I heard an amen. Thank you in this corner. Because what you do with it is reflective of what? Your heart. It's and that's what God cares about. God doesn't care that you have $1 million and you give $1 million to charity. That's great. What He cares about is the heart that was motivating you to give that $1 million. And God, I believe, rejoices similarly to an individual who gives $5, $1, or just time. And that is in and of itself valuable. I got off track of my notes. That's good. We got 7 minutes left. Number 3, the third reason is I don't know how, or I don't know why. And to me, as a lawyer who engages in estate planning, this comes across like as if it's a fundamental misunderstanding of estate law and intestate succession. What I mean by that is this. You, not the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, not a court, not your mom, not your child, you are entrusted. You are the steward of what God has entrusted you to hold on this earth. Nobody else. Certainly not the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. If you die without a will, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has one for you. That's a direct quote from Drew Geisey that he often offers at these church events, seminars, and I so appreciate that phrase. If you don't have a will, the Commonwealth has one for you, and you may be surprised as to where your money goes. Give me somebody in the audience, give me a guess. If you die tomorrow and you are married and you have 2 children and you have an asset that's not marital property in the sense that it's not held as joint property with right of survivorship, you have individual property somehow, in that instance, where do your assets go? You die without a will. You have a spouse, you have 2 kids. That's the fact pattern. Anybody want to tell me how your estate is divided? Somebody said the wife. Not the wife. Part the wife. The wife gets, we're doing man, the man dies, because the man always dies first in every hypothetical, right? That's the patriarchal thing, the right thing to do. So man dies, wife survives, but you got 2 kids, so the law says that if there's an asset that the husband owned at his death that wasn't jointly held by the wife gets the first $30,000, and every dollar after that gets divided equally between her and the kids. You may not even like your kids. Your kids may be adults living a lifestyle you don't approve of. But the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has this will set up for you. Now, what if you don't have a wife when you die, and you don't have kids when you die, and you also don't have a will? You want to know where your stuff goes? State, not quite there. There's another step, intermediate step. Your parents. You moved out a long time ago. It's time to get past your parents, right? You don't support them. And even if you did support them, God calls you to be a good steward in the way that you manage your money while you're alive. Similarly, God calls you to be a good steward in the way that you manage your money when you pass away. That distribution of your assets speaks as much to your faith while you were alive as it did when you were alive, as a gift it did when you were alive. All right. The other thing, I don't know why answer I would give you is, for those of you in the room, and there's plenty of men and women in this room who are younger than I am, my kids are all moved out of the house. But every one of you who's a parent of a child under the age of 18 or in your custodial care, even if they're 19 or 20, still living at home, you wear 2 hats on any given day. You wear the hat that controls their money. That's why in Pennsylvania, generally speaking, no person under the age of 18 can hold title to property. So you as a parent are the custodian of everything that they own or everything that exists for their benefit. That's why banks offer a custodial account. But the other role that you play in their life is that of the natural guardian. A will picks someone else, presumably with a similar worldview, and someone who loves your kids as much as, or nearly as much as you love your kids, who care about the education, as Tim mentioned, the educational program your kids are in until they reach majority. That guardianship is, I submit, one of the most important reasons why a Christian mom or dad ought to have a will. Because again, you don't have a will, somebody's going to decide for you. And it's not necessarily going to be the Commonwealth, it's going to be a judge sitting in the Court of Common Pleas of Berks County. And I love every one of my judges in Berks County. I just want to say that because I think this is being recorded. But I want you to know that they have good intentions, but they don't necessarily share your worldview. They don't know that you would love to have your kids educated through a Christian, private Christian school or homeschooled, or that you want your money to be supporting a Christian college, Liberty University, Regent University. You may want that, but a judge doesn't know that. And the way that you communicate those wishes and bind your executor and your trustees is through the written will and the inherent, the trust that's included in it. The fourth excuse that we hear a lot is the cost. It sounds like it costs too much money. And in truth, just like every other product and every other service, you have law firms that are more than happy to gin up the work that they're going to do for you and charge you happily for it. But there are law firms out there that that they recognize. I think Tim mentioned before, you may not need a crazy, complicated estate plan. Most people don't, to be perfectly honest. The number of clients that come into my office that need a trust, there are limited reasons why you would need to pay a lawyer a significant amount of money to create a trust. And the small fraction of clients that applies to would probably surprise you. So my suggestion to you is, just like every other product or service, shop it. Find a lawyer or a law firm. I know there's a couple of us in here today. Find a firm that shares a ministry worldview with you, and I suspect that you will see a willingness to contribute to that and to join you in that ministry in terms of the fees. But by all means, please don't use online programs to get yourself a document for $15, or please don't use ChatGPT. They will get you documents, but you have no idea what you need until it's actually executed. And that's why I strongly suggest you engage an attorney to help you with that. In closing, I will close, 15 seconds left. I can do it. I'll close with this thought. And I wrote it down because I really don't want to get sidetracked on this. You are called to be a good steward of what God has entrusted you, both in life and in death. When you fail to take steps to manage the orderly distribution of your assets in a way that honors the Lord, you open the door to chaos. God is a God of order, and if there's nothing else you hear me say today, listen, God is a God of order. He is not a God of chaos. Chaos is not of God. Chaos is of the enemy. And I submit that the best reason of all to pay attention to your estate plan is to reflect that character of God. And with that, I will thank the Life Institute for the introvitation to speak this morning and give the podium back over to Drew.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Good work.
Those who have had the joy